And he's still being to me.
You bouge. Sit here and eat 7 gallons of ice cream and watch Netflix for 5 hours because it doesn't matter, right? But like it.
Hi, I'm Sonu.
I'm Silas.
We are going to talk about the thing hurts our relationship.
Yes, I think there's a lot of things that we can do that hurt our relationships, not just romantic ones, but like also with friends, co-workers, colleagues, acquaintances, and yeah, we learn through trial and error, right?
Yeah.
So what's our topic today? What's the thing that's hurting us?
Being too competitive
Yeah, I would agree with that.
to our each partners. How can I say each partners?
Like yeah, just everyone that we know, like being competitive in like a financial way or a physical way, in a career kind of way, those kinds of things. I think especially just from like a traditional female perspective, like when we like a lot of women are really focused on our careers right now. Like that's something that's happening in the world, that we're turning into boss bitches and just like taking control of our jobs and our finances and things. And you know, a lot of the result of that is that we've started to make more money, and also the gender wage gap is closing, particularly in America. The wage gap in Korea is massive between women and men. But it is closing in the United States, you know, slowly but surely. But as time has gone on, women are starting to make more money, and you know, we're very intentionally not reliant on other people. And that's not just our husbands, it's like husbands, family members, friends, anything like that. Having financial control and independence of our lives is very freeing, but it can, for like, you know, for traditional minded men, that can feel very threatening to have a partner that is really successful in their career or is really driven, you know, at a time when maybe the wife is making more money. So there have been times in my life where I'm the breadwinner, right? Like I make more money, and you know, in one circumstance that was quite bothersome to the other person. Most of the time they don't really care. At least American guys haven't really cared about it. But how do you think it is for Korean people?
Just my opinion, as a Korean guy, it's really intense for guys. Like
the social pressure.
You have to earn more than the woman that having relationship with me. It's quite strong stereotypes. So usually girls prefer the guy who earns more. I think it's worldwide concept, but where some people are not tend to talk this because it's regarded as a not right thing. But yeah, this country is kind of standard.
Yeah, it's a little bit like
the standard that we have to pass.
Right. I mean, yeah, it was the same in the United States for a while. Like what happened particularly in the US is that, you know, during the Second World War, most men, right, were gone. And this is at a time before industrial manufacturing had moved overseas. So women had to go to factories and they had to start working. This is the time period when women started wearing pants. We literally were not allowed to socially wear pants before this. This is a real thing in history. So like I think for Americans, we're at this point becoming a lot more adapted to like a newer concept of how people can live their lives. And you know, humans are reaching a point where we don't have to live by really strict gender roles. And that's, you know, that's a beautiful thing. And for a lot of people, that's also kind of a curse, because we have old cultural coding that tells us like, you stay home, you clean the house, you do the scrubby, you wear the skirty, and man, you go to work, you carry briefcase, you make the monies. And it's like, that doesn't have to be that. We are at a time in history where we have the luxury to not have to do that, right?
I agree that we don't have to do that, and we educated to not to do that, but in our gene, you know,
I don't think that's genetic.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, we evolutionary think men have to get more power for their family. So when we think we're not getting more money to compared to our girlfriend, we think the situation is threatening, and so we got easily insecure. So that some men can be really aggressive that they're not earning more money. So they act like they're pissed off, but actually they're very jealous to their partner, and they're very horrified by the situation that he might be underlooked from other people. Yeah, that's what's happening, even though they don't notice that. Yeah, that's my thinking.
I see. Yeah. I think we're in that same position that we are frequently, where I 0% agree that's genetic. I just want to, for the viewers that are out there, 0% agree. Yeah, but I do know what you mean in terms of like, you know, we think that there are these things that we have to do, and it doesn't just come down to our gender. It's like every part of our lives there's rules that we're supposed to follow, and so it's been coded into us, whether it's genes or socially. There's this like pre-coding that has existed for a really long time, and regardless, you know, this is like a chicken and the egg argument. It's like regardless of where the fucking egg came from, the argument's still the same, that like there has been pressure on men to perform financially at a higher level, and I do understand that.
Maybe it's related to the responsibility. So if you're a woman and if you think you're responsible of the family financially, you get more pressure easily. That's my just hypothesis.
Yeah, I mean, then that's probably true. Like, you know, if that expectation is on us, then yeah, there's a lot more pressure there. If nobody expects you to do that, then just like, whatever, I'm gonna sit here and eat 7 gallons of ice cream and watch Netflix for 5 hours because it doesn't matter, right? But like, you know, if there's a response, I think that's the thing about like single parents, right? Regardless of gender.
Yes.
Like with a single parent, there's significantly more pressure, right? Because you have to perform at home and at work and like super high levels, right? Yeah, but I think like where it treads into like dangerous territory in terms of with a relationship is that like if there is this feeling of competitiveness inside of a relationship, then it's not like supporting or being kind to the other person. Because like let's imagine a scenario, this isn't real, but let's imagine that like I get some super bougie job, I'm like the head of some company, I don't know, and I'm the new Samsung, and like, you know, it's our gender swap K-drama, and like all of a sudden I'm running like a Fortune 500 company,
and I'm a trophy husband.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but like he cooks and cleans, it's fine. But like, yeah, imagine like this scenario where this kind of situation happens. Now, there are a couple of choices, right? It's not just two, but for the sake of ease in conversation, like one response is like, oh, nice, babe, you did it. What's the outcome of this, right? Is that we all have more money now. We all have more resources. Everybody's happy. Happy husband, happy schmuzband. But the other choice, like, you know, the other extreme choice is to be really angry about it. And if I came home from my job every day and my significant other is just angry with me, and I either don't know why or I know why, and it makes me feel guilty, either way, it creates this giant rift in the relationship where there's not communication and there's not like respect for the other person. It's like on some level I get a little bit of jealousy. I think jealousy is a thing that can motivate us, but it can also very easily, and I would argue like 99% of the time, the jealousy just leaps over this line of motivation and goes into this really negative point where it starts to really like erode. It's almost like erosion where it pulls apart.
Those type of negative emotions is like fire. We can use it for good reason, like cooking. Yeah.
Gotcha.
We can use fire for cooking, sterilization, and any type of vacation. But
and
we
camping.
can arson. Yeah.
That's
can
true.
be arsenal with the fire. It's really disastrous. So, yeah. If something is very strong, that means it can be very dangerous and can be very useful. So, we can use our negative emotions like jealous, anger, or insecurity to motivate ourselves. But except that cases, it's very dangerous thing.
I would agree with that for sure. And like I think often jealousy and competitiveness kind of overlap, right? I think they're kind of two sides of one coin, where it's like feeling competitive and feeling jealous, I guess in my personal experience, are basically the same, right? Like if I'm feeling jealous of somebody else, there's also this note of competition, because it's like I'm missing something, right? Like there's something that I need. I'm missing this thing that I require. So it's like, and like you said, it's so easy to misuse that, right? And use it for like really disastrous things. Now, if we're like really aware of what's going on with ourselves, I think it's possible to go, oh, I'm feeling jealous. Here's why. And then instead use that energy for motivating ourselves. Like maybe in the scenario where I'm a CEO, then suddenly, you're like, okay, I'm gonna go get my PhD. We have all the money. Why not? Let's do this thing. But instead of turning that into like a vicious attack toward me for having success in my career, right? So when these moments of jealousy come up, and competition, like feeling competitive, I think it's important to remember that like we love the other person and like we want them.
Really important.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the solutions. So for example, if I feel very competitive to my partner Silas, because of the reason I earn less money compared to her, I need to be self-cognitive that I feel anger about the situation that I earn less. I became angry because of the mind that I want to be responsible of this family. But if I get mad or being insecure with that fact, it makes this relationship and family more worse. It's a vicious cycle. And I think I got bad things. I did bad mistakes, so I'm a very horrible guy, so I got more insecure, so I make more mistakes, so it makes worse and worse. It happens a lot. So it's really important to think about that. Where this negative emotion come from?
What caused that?
What caused that?
I think human beings, we tend to be very motivated by emotions. I mean, this is a thing in the whole animal world. But emotions aren't the start, right? Emotions are a result of what it is that we're thinking, and our thinking patterns are learned when we're really young, right? Like we can retrain our training or we can kind of retrain ourselves to think in a different way, but that takes self-cognition to begin with. So
self-cognition.
Right. What we think, we learn how to do this when we're really little, right? And we forget ever having this process in our mind where we solved this problem one time and now we're using this one solution for everything. We can actually retrain ourselves how to think about things. It just takes time. But the first step is knowing what it is that we're thinking, right? Emotions don't exist in a vacuum. There's something that's there that has caused that feeling. So if this feeling of competition or jealousy starts to come up, I think the first step is to think to yourself, what am I thinking? And not just, I think you're so mean because you're a CEO and like blah blah blah.
You changed.
Right. I challenge you.
And still being to me.
You bouge. I challenge you to like try to figure out what the thought is that started this, right? So like these tend to spiral out of control, and by the time we feel this really intense emotion, there's a whole cloud of thoughts. Right, so taking like 5 minutes to just like think about what's going on in my mind. Why am I angry? Why am I feeling competitive? Why am I feeling jealous? That's really important. It's cool if you know where it came from your childhood, but I would argue that it's not actually all that important to undoing that. Just knowing, wow, that's something that I thought. Oh, I'm nervous that my role as the husband in this relationship, that I'm not providing enough for my family. It makes me feel insecure about my relationship because maybe I'll lose my family, maybe I'll lose my children, maybe we'll lose the house. That's a lot of stress.
Yeah, it causes that problem.
Right. Yeah. That's legitimately a thing that you can be afraid of. That's justifiable.
Yeah.
The behavior of being a butthead to our partner, though, that's not justifiable behavior.
Yes.
Right? So justifiable feeling does not match justifiable behavior. So if you know why it is that we're thinking what it is, whatever's going on in there, it's easier to change the behavior. It's easier to not be an asshole to your partner because you feel jealous, right? Feeling nervous about losing your resources, totally understandable. Being a butthead to the other person, that's going to cause a lot of problems because the other person then goes, oh my God, now there's a problem in the relationship. Well, I'm going to lose my relationship. I'm going to lose my house. I'm going to lose my kids. It's the same thing. Now I've given my problem to my partner.
The surprising thing is it's from really simple concept that I feel threatened from the situation. That's just so
fear.
Yeah, that's it. So I recommend meditating, as she told, or writing down with simplifying your situation or your thinking with 5 minutes contemplation. I really recommend that. Yeah.
Important.
I'm very INTJ person, so I genuinely just do it in my mind. But I understand that other people cannot do it easily, so I recommend that writing down your specific thought about some emotional things. I really recommend that.
It takes practice too. It's like we haven't grown up in a world that really advocates for us to do emotional contemplation and reflection, at least not super deeply, right? And so I think the act of becoming, more in touch with ourselves and more in tune with ourselves takes time. And honestly, in every video that we talk about problems in the relationship, it's probably going to come back to self-cognition every single time.
Being care of each other.
Yeah.
That's the key. Like being self-cognitive and caring of each other.
Yeah. Because being afraid is like, it makes sense. And like, I think competition and jealousy come often, not all the time, but often they come from fear, right? And so it makes sense to be afraid, and so that's different.
That emotion is good thing, but we have to wise way.
Like act upon it in a good way, and like if I'm afraid of something, I would prefer to go to him and say like, I'm really scared, like I feel like I'm not providing enough for this relationship. What can we do, right? I don't need to rely on him to go like, no, it's fine, everything's good. But helping to find solutions to that problem. Like if I say, oh, I'm so afraid that I'm going to lose you, that I'm going to lose the family, whatever, then he can kind of know what's going on with me so that he knows what my situation is and what's going on in my mind. And then we can try to solve it. Right? It doesn't have to be like endlessly chasing good feelings, but just being like, hey, here's something that I perceive could be a problem.
Just the first step.
What do you think? Yeah, well said. I think so.
First step doesn't make problem solved, but it's at least the start. It's really important. So be kind honest of yourself and your partner. And we have to accept that our partner cannot solve the problem immediately. So don't be angry about that.
Yeah, definitely. If we're self-cognitive, it's easier to just say, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm feeling. And we don't have to feel so embarrassed about it, right? So I like in our relationship that like I definitely have some maladaptive tendencies from my youth that I'm in the process of unlearning, that have caused very significant damage in some of my relationships in the past. And it takes time, but like we trust each other to work together. So when I do feel afraid, I don't think in our relationship I've ever felt jealousy, but like, or at least not in a competitive sense, right? But like, I trust you.
Just once.
Yeah.
The typing contest.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That made me mad actually. But I was better in English.
Yeah.
But anyhow. But like that's the thing is like I like being able to that we can come to each other and just be like, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm feeling stressed about this, let's find a solution. Because at the end of the day, more important than providing resources, I think personally, is having an actual stable relationship and trusting that the other person has our best interest in mind, right? So I know that even if like tomorrow corona apocalypse happens and like everything shuts down and the whole economy crashes, I know that we can rely on each other. It doesn't matter who's doing better because we trust each other to.
Because we're a team.
Sure. Yeah, we work together. Who cares who's the lead spot?
If team wins, I'll win.
That's right. I don't need to be Ronaldo. I just want to be on the team, right? Like my team won, even though Ronaldo kicked all the goals. Who cares? At the
Just
end
give
of
me
the
the trophy.
Right, give me the trophy. That's what I want. So it's like I do understand where this comes from. If you can use it as a motivator, great. But that does require a significant amount of self-cognition. So remember, you love the other person very much. You don't want to just like give your problem to that person. That self-cognition can be manifested through journaling and other kinds of meditative practice as well.
So let's make some summary. It's about being competitive to your partner.
Yes.
So we have to think about what causes that emotion, negative emotions.
Yes.
And being self-cognitive and accepting myself and being honest to my partner about the situation that I can't control 100%. So that's it. That's a big step.
Yeah. If you have any questions about this, because this is very free-form conversation, we don't make a bullet point list or anything. So if there's any information that we've missed or something you're curious about, feel free to leave those in the comments below. We read them all. Yeah, so we're happy to respond to you and answer questions you guys might have. Both of us have studied a lot of different things from CBT to physical therapy, and like we've managed to make a pretty dang good relationship. I think it's pretty good
so far.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. No, I'm just kidding. But we'll see who wins this battle.
I got evidence.
Did you record it on your watch? But yeah, so yeah, if you have any questions, please let us know. If you do like our videos, please like and subscribe down below.
Bye.
Bye, guys.